So the summary of what we're doing today is right here. Let's go through it really quick. Yes, ma'am. Yes, please. If work is being done at a constant rate by one person and at a different constant rate by another person, both rates can be converted to their unit rates and then compared directly. Work can include jobs done in a certain time period, rates of running or swimming, etc. So let's kind of decode this a little bit. We've learned all of these terms, but I want to go through and sort of sum it up. So, work. When we're talking in math about a math problem and we're talking about work, we're just talking about anything that you do, right? Running, swimming, anything you've done, right? Talking, typing, walking. Now, let's talk about rates, okay? If you notice behind me, we have a new anchor chart.
Oh.
Okay, here's the example. We use 9.43 yards per second. Now, when we say unit rate, what part of the rate are we talking about? Remember, the rate is the whole thing. The unit rate is what, Itza?
Numbers.
The numbers, or the simplest form of the number in the rate, is your unit rate. And can you tell me, Michaela, what part of the rate is the rate unit? You can look at the poster. The what? Yards per second. In this particular example, it's yards per second. Who can tell me the definition of rate unit? What is a rate unit in general? Shay.
Rate units are like the words.
Like the words that we're using to describe what we're talking about, to describe the numbers, right? Awesome. Nice. So then if you're saying that one person is doing something, doing some work at a constant rate, and another person is doing the same thing at a different constant rate, if we convert to the unit rate, then we can compare them. So let's go down to your do now, example 1. Suppose that on a Saturday morning, you can cut 3 lawns in 5 hours. Your friend can cut 5 lawns in 8 hours. Who's cutting lawns at a faster rate? Well, like we said at the beginning, we can't compare these because 3 to 5 and 5 to 8, those are not unit rates. How do I make them into unit rates? How can I turn 3 lawns in 5 hours to a unit rate? Davian. What do you think, Kalia?
Divide.
Kalia thinks we need to divide. Why?
Because it basically shows us like dividing on like the hours. The hours part, and then dividing by 5 on the first part.
So, because we need the amount of lawns per hour, not in 5 hours, we're dividing both sides by 5. Good. This is how we convert a rate into a unit rate. We need to be able to say per hour, per second, per whatever it is that we're talking about. So we need a 1 as our denominator. Go ahead. Right? So what do we have to do to the top, Dewey?
Oh, okay. Divide by 5.
Yeah, same thing, divide by 5. Have to do the same thing to both sides. And we can use our calculator because we know we're not going to get a whole number. 3 divided by 5. And you get 0.6. In 1 hour, I can cut 0.6 lawns. Well, let's talk about our friend over here who cuts 5 lawns in 8 hours. In order to compare rates, we need to find the unit rate for each rate. Is this the unit rate? No. Why? Dewey, why is this not the unit rate?
Also because that's the hours. That's not how many food.
Well, 5. Why is this not the unit rate? Rocco, help him out.
Because it's numbers, not words.
No, that's a rate unit. Kalia?
It's not a unit rate because the denominator's not a 1.
We'd like to get a 1 as the denominator. So how do we do that? What do we do to both sides, Javier?
Divide them by 8.
Divide both sides by 8. And again, we know 5 divided by 8 is not going to give us a whole number, so you can use your calculator to find the decimal. Now, if we look at our decimals, we notice how many numbers are after the decimal in my unit rate? 1. How many are after the decimal in my friend's unit rate? 3. Let's make them the same so we can compare them, okay? 0.6, 0.625. How can I make these more similar so that I can compare them, Dasani? Exactly. I can add 2 zeros here because it's after a decimal. It does not change the value of the 6, but it makes it easy to compare. So I know that 0.600 is smaller than 0.625. So what does that tell me? Who cuts at a faster rate? The friend. Because the friend does more work in the same amount of time. This person cuts faster. Now, there's another way we can do this, right? We said the unit rate for our friend was 5/8 and our unit rate was 3/5. What if I just wanted to compare the fractions? What could I do to compare these two fractions? Tara? Yes, find a common denominator. What could a common denominator between 5ths and 8ths be? Make it easy on yourself. We want the same number on the bottom for each fraction. What's the easiest way to do that, Kalia? The easiest way to do that is to multiply them. 5 times 8 is 40. What do I have to do to 3? Times 8, right? Same thing. So 3 times 8 is 24. Now, do I do 8 times 8? No. Why, Javier?
Because the denominator, the other fraction is not 8.
Right. So this one we're going to multiply by 5 because we want to get the same number. So we got 40 here, we want 40 here. We multiply by 5 here. We multiply 5 times what on top? 5. And we get?
25.
Okay? Yes? Uh-huh. 0.625. You don't have to round. If you were to round, it would look like they cut the same amount, right? And here's another that's a good point. Let me show you.
What about the fraction? Do you have to simplify that?
Here's another good point. Let me show you why we can't use tape diagrams for this problem. I mean, you can, but why you maybe shouldn't. So here's me. Here's my friend. If I draw it, then I have 5, right? And the friend has 8. I cut 1, 2, 3. My friend cuts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, is it easy to tell who cut more by this picture? No, not really, because I'm human. I'm not going to draw both of these exactly right. And these two unit rates are so close that it's hard to tell in a picture that I drew which one cut more in the same amount of time. So for a problem like this, tape diagrams are not super helpful when the answers are so similar. Okay, so Dewey also asked the question, do we have to reduce these? No. The reason is we want the denominators to be the same so that we can compare the numerators. This person cut one more 40th of a lawn than I did, so they're faster than me by just a tiny, tiny bit. So example 2. Example 2, you don't have any information for example 2. I'm going to give it to you, okay? So listen carefully. Suppose you own a restaurant. You want to do some advertising, so you hire 2 students to deliver takeout menus around town. One student, Darla, delivers 350 menus in 2 hours. And another student, Drew, delivers 510 menus in 3 hours. You promise a $10 bonus to the fastest worker, since time is money in the restaurant business. Who gets the bonus? So first we need to write what we know, right? We have Darla. And Darla delivers 350 menus in 2 hours. Drew delivers 510 menus in 3 hours. We need to find the unit rates so we can compare them. Okay, so here, what can I write? Persephone, what can I fill in these blanks with? Now the reason 350 goes here and not here is because we already know how many menus we can deliver in 2 hours. We want to know how many menus in 1 hour. So that's going to be what we find. And how do we find it? Javier?
Divided by 2?
Sure, 350 divided by 2. You can look at this 2 ways. You can say, I need to get my 2 on the bottom to become a 1, so I have a per hour answer. And I do that by dividing by 2, which means I'd need to do the same thing on top. The other way you can look at this is, I have a fraction. My rate is in fraction form. Fractions are division. 350 divided by 2 is, yes, 175. Let's talk about Drew. What can I write in the blanks for Drew, Tony?
510 for every 3 hours.
And Dasani, why did I write 510 here and not here?
Because you're trying to see how much you made in 1 hour, not 3.
Because we want to know how much we made in 1 hour. So that's going to be what we find. Yes. Now, what's my next step? What's my next step, Jordan? Divide 510 by 3. And you get
177.
good. Now remember, we do say we divide 510 by 3, because if you tell me you're going to divide 510 and 3, use that word and, I don't know what you're talking about. Which number is dividing what, right? So we use that word by to tell us what's happening. 510 by 3. Okay? So, who gets the bonus? Who gets the bonus, Persephone? Darla gets the $10 bonus. You should be at a level 0. I know all the information. You don't.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had that question a lot today. Where'd you find out all these numbers? I have the problem in front of me. You do not. Yeah. I'm giving you the information you need. So go ahead and turn the page to page 118. Go get one. You can go get one. They're in the blue bucket by the door. Huh?
Every time it goes.
What? Okay. Number 2. Again. I'm sorry, number 3. Again. I'm giving you the information you need, so listen carefully. Which runs faster? A cheetah who runs 60 feet in 4 seconds, or a gazelle who runs 100 feet in 8 seconds. You may do this one on your own.
Oh no.
Work at a level 0. I'm coming around to make sure you've written your rate correctly. I'll give you a check if you have. I'll circle it if you have not. Go ahead and get started. Oh, make a line. Make a line. Now get into the habit of filling in the blanks before you do the math. Nice job. Track the board, please. Let's go over it. Huh? Right, okay, that's great. That's great. Let's talk about it. Okay, so before I do any mathematical operation, so adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, I need to lay out my problem. This is super important. Looking at your exit tickets, I notice we're working ahead of ourselves. We're working ahead of ourselves. Write it out first so it's clear what you need to do. So what can I write? Michaela. What can I write here? 60. And what can I write here? What can I write here? 4. Now how can I find what number goes here? Julia? Mm-hmm. 60 divided by 4. Nice. And you'll get 15. So the cheetah goes 15 feet in 1 second. How about the gazelle? When I point to it, you tell me what goes there. What goes here?
100.
What goes here?
8.
What goes here?
12.5.
Nice job. And I saw that most of you did complete that correctly. So, again, to find the answer, you're dividing 100 by 8 because 8 divided by 8 gives you 1. You have to do it also on the top. Or you can say my rate is in fraction form and fractions are division, 12.5. Example number 4. Example number 4, flying fingers. What if the units of time are not the same in the two rates? What does this mean for the rate units? Let's talk about it. Okay, so we have the secretary in the main office types 225 words in 3 minutes. The computer teacher types 105 words in 90 seconds. We need to find who types faster. We need to find who types faster. What are we going to have to do? Okay, so remember my question to you was, what if the rates of time, the units of time are not the same? What if you have minutes and seconds? That's 2 different units.
Oh.
What do I have to do, Liliana? Yeah, we're going to have to convert so that both of them are seconds or both of them are minutes. Now, I know that 90 seconds is a minute and a half, and I don't want to deal with fractions on fractions or decimals on, blech. Let's convert minutes to seconds, right? So, if I want to convert this to words per second, what do I need to do? This is what we learned yesterday. Go ahead and turn and talk to your partner and tell them how to convert this to minutes per second, words per second. Bring it back in 3, 2, and 1. What can we do to convert this to words per second so that we can compare the rates? Okay, Leah. Now we're going to multiply by a fraction, right? Because we're going to multiply by the value of the ratio of seconds to minutes. Now, does seconds go on the bottom or on top? The bottom. And why? Yes, because minutes is the denominator here, and we want to get rid of minutes. We want words per second. So we write minutes on the top so that these 2 units cancel. And we're left with words per second. But if we multiply across, we find we have 225 words in 60 seconds. Well, 60 seconds here and 90 seconds here, that's not going to fly, right? They have to be the same. So, what can I do next? What can I do next, Julie? I want to compare these two, but right now I have 90 seconds here and 60 seconds here. I need to find the unit rate because we converted by using this conversion factor of 60 seconds per minute. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally didn't pay attention to that 3. So yes, it would be 180 seconds because 3 times 60 is 180. Thank you for catching that. Okay, Leah? Do what? Yes, if you need a calculator, you can get a calculator. Go ahead, Liliana. And Tara, what can I do so that I know I can compare these two rates? What do I need to do to these two rates to be able to compare them to each other? So I have the secretary. She types 225 words in 180 seconds. The computer teacher types 150 words in 90 seconds, but I want to be able to compare them. We have to divide, right? Because we want per second, which means in 1 second, not 180 seconds. So we divide 225 words divided by 180 seconds gives us what? 1.25 what? Words per second. Nice. Let's talk about the computer teacher. How can we find the unit rate for the computer teacher? Michaela, divide what? 150 by 90. And we get a bunch of decimals. Well, if we look here, our first one, I'm going to pause and wait for the chatter to stop. If we look at our first one, we got an even 1.25. So we had 2 decimal places. I don't respond to that. We have 2 decimal places here. Let's round to 2 decimal places here. Or we could say to the hundredths place. If I round to the hundredths place, what is my answer, Dewey? 1.6. Okay, Leah? Okay, again, I'm going to pause and wait for the chatter to stop because I can't hear you. On what? Okay, wait. What?
It's 105 words, but you put 150.
Thank you. So, 105 divided by 90, right? So if we round to the hundredths place or 2 decimal places, what is the answer? Yes, ma'am. We're rounding to 2 decimal places, so I should have 2 numbers after the decimal. Persephone, I'm rounding to 2 decimal places, so I want 2 numbers after the decimal. What would it be? 1.16? Michaela? 1.17. Can you tell us why? Yes. We're rounding to the hundredths place. In order to know whether we need to round up or keep it the same, we look next door. This number is 5 or more, so we round up. 1.17. 1.17 what? words
Per second.
per second. So let's compare them. Who types at a faster rate? Sasir?
I think it's the secretary.
Yes. The secretary types at a faster rate. Here's why. Let's look at their rates, their unit rates. 1.25 words is more than 1.17 words. This person typed more words in the same amount of time, so they are faster. The secretary types faster. Go ahead and turn the page to page 119. And on page 119, you will find your problem set. Now, your problem set should look familiar because number 1 is on your homework. You're level 0. I'll wait. Now, 2 through 6 you're going to work on right now with a partner at a level 1. I will, track me. I need 100%, I'm waiting on a few. I will walk around just to check off what you're working with. What I'm looking for is that you are writing the rate in the right order and before you do any dividing or multiplying. You're writing your rates. Then you're converting to unit rates. Okay? Check means you're good. I'll circle anything you need to go back to and try again. Go ahead, Julie. Get started.
Can I have a